Noon stream. I'm Pugs Moran, and we do this every day, noon till whenever, whenever we finish. What is the high noon stream? Well, it's a service from me to you. What I like to do is I go through all of the stuff that is trending on the various social platforms. I go through the headlines that are making news tonight, the buzz, hot topics, trends, whatever it is that people are talking about on this particular day. I give it to you. I give it to you in a nice little couple hour form. This is talk radio, the way I believe it's supposed to be. Non-political, non-judgmental, just over the fence type conversation. Over the fence type conversation, the kind of things you say to your neighbor when you're over the fence. You don't talk unless you and your neighbor are both crazy people. Then maybe you'll get into like heavy, discussions and divisive shit. I'm just talking about neighborly conversation and the hot takes offered here are mine. And, I'm kind of an idiot. So it's up to you to decide whether or not, I'm just looking at the world and I'm talking about what I think of all that I'm reading. That's what happens every day, Monday through Friday. So appreciate you. Come on in the chat room. We've got Jeff here. We've got Dustin here. That's it. That's it in the chat room. We got April. Okay, now we go. Here we go. Now the people are starting to come in. Leslie's here. Everybody's here. So happy to have you with us. Tonight, there is no Pillow Talk show. This is, as I say, the first of two streams that we do. This one, noon till about 2 o'clock. Noon till whenever, Monday through Friday. And then we do a Pillow Talk show, which is Monday through Thursday evening. No Pillow Talk tonight. And programming note, oh my God, it's hot. It's hot. I just realized it's hot. I turned off the air conditioner because it was very cold last night. Hold on. I think I'm going to have to turn the air on. Guys, I think I'm going to have to turn the air on just a little bit. What is the temperature currently? It's October in Texas, so it's probably going to be like, 105? No, it says it's only 75 right now. 75 right now. Why am I so hot? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. Programming note, I mentioned tonight there will be no show. Tomorrow's high noon show, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to do a high noon show tomorrow. Tomorrow is a day that I always talk about, that I always know and I jokingly say that it's because I'm a massive fan of the Battle of Hastings, which occurred yesterday. William the Conqueror, coming over and taking over England. But that's not why October the 14th is a day that I sort of obsess on. It's a bad day in my life, the worst day of my life. And so every October 14th, I tend to get a little bit weird. I tend to get a little bit, I have depression. But my depression isn't triggered by, bad news or anything like that. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. Actually, you know what? I've been in therapy. Actually, I haven't been in therapy. I need to get back into therapy. Haven't been there in a while. I still don't understand, what triggers the depression. And I'm not saying that I feel it coming on, because my natural bouts with depression are typically preceded by bouts of mania for about 2 days. And by mania, I don't mean like I run around the street half naked banging on pots and pans. That's not my version of mania. My version of mania is I get very creative. I get very, let's do this. No, then let's do this. And then we're going to do this plan. You know what I mean? It's like kind of and then that depletes, and then I sink into something. So tomorrow is a day that I may not be doing a show. I don't know. And I hope you understand, and I hope you appreciate it, but I don't know what kind of a mindset I'm going to be in tomorrow. And doing a live stream, I like to be in relative control of my mindset when I do these. Everything I say, I pretty much, know what I'm going to say. Like I have, but on like a day like tomorrow, I don't know. We'll see. We will see. I will wake. I got my kid this weekend. That's awesome. So that's going to be like a very, very good thing. But like I said, I don't know. I don't know about tomorrow. I don't know. We will see. We will see. I love doing this, and this brings me great joy. So we will see. Hi, Byron. Byron's here. Adam is here. Everybody's here. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we talked about my love for the Battle of Hastings, the William the Conqueror and the Norman invasion of England. That's a bit of a mirage. That's what they call a straw man. That's not really why I'm obsessed with the date, October the 14th, but it provides me nice cover. What are you going to do? I know everything about that day in history, which is a shame because I've become obsessed with that date and I should probably do a show tomorrow but it's just, for a very long time, a combination of that date was basically my passwords for everything. And I had to do that. I was advised that by people that is called obsessing and that is not healthy. So, but anyway, okay. So moving on. I just wanted to let you guys know. And I hope that you're cool with it. And cool with it. People don't love you that much. Stop acting like you're going to be upsetting people by not doing a show tomorrow. I know there is a pretty good heaping of narcissism with this whole thing. So I'm just trying to cover bases. All right, let's talk about what today is, because that's what we do on this show. We tell you everything that you need to know about this day, which is October the 13th, year of our Lord 2022. It is the 286th day of the year. There are 79 days remaining until the end of the year. So how do we do this? Well, what we do is we give you all the things that happened in history on this day. We run through them a little bit at the start. Then we go through some birthdays. We talk about some people who have made contributions or at least left a mark of some kind on this world, good, bad, or other. Then we go into some deaths and we mourn some people who have made contributions, again, good, bad, or other, that, deem some mentioning. So let's get started with stuff that happened on this day in history. On this day in history, in the year 54, Roman Emperor Claudius dies from poisoning under mysterious circumstances. He is succeeded by his adopted son, Nero, rather than by Britannicus, his son, his actual son. Nero, I don't know. I know that Claudius was a big one, so I figured I'd mention it. I know Nero, didn't he fiddle while Rome burned, or is that just not true? That's just, something that, I don't know. Who knows? On this day in 1775, the Continental Congress establishes the Continental Navy, which is the predecessor to the United States Navy that we have now. So if you're a Navy person, today's kind of your birthday. On this day in 1792 in Washington, D.C., the cornerstone of the United States Executive Mansion, known as the White House since 1818, is laid. Now, why did I sort of pause on that? Because yesterday we learned about the White House. We learned that it was called the Executive Mansion until Teddy Roosevelt first called it the White House. We learned that yesterday. That was a historical fact from yesterday. And today we're being told, no, it had been known as the White House since 1818. I don't care enough about this subject to really do a deep dive and figure out who's right and who's wrong, but I'm just throwing it out there. We have conflicting historical accounts on this day and on yesterday. On this day in 1943 in World War II, Marshal Pietro Badoglio. And let me try that again. Pietro Badoglio. That's it, Badoglio. It's Badoglio. On this day, World War II, 1943, Marshal Pietro Badoglio announces that Italy has officially declared war on Germany. Well, late to the party, Italy, after colluding with the Nazis for all those years, getting your ass handed to you and basically dragging your dictator Mussolini through the streets and hanging him. You finally came to the realization that maybe you chose the wrong side. All right. See, here's what I don't get. I got no I love Italian. I got a bunch of Italian friends. This isn't an Italian bashing thing. But how is it that we seem okay with Italy, but it's France that we got the problem with? Italy, their behavior in World War II was at best objectionable and at worst complicit in war crimes. Okay, so let's start focusing on Italy. Those sons of bitches and what they did during World War II. On this day in 1972, Uruguayan, what would it be? Uruguayan Air Flight 571 crashes into the Andes Mountains. 28 survive the crash, all but 16 succumb before rescue on December 23rd. These are the people that ate each other. This is the movie, the Ethan Hawke movie, Alive. Oh, man, I hate that movie. I mean, I like that movie. Don't give me, well, I mean, I don't like the content. I mean, I like them. It's a well-done movie. It caused me to stir emotionally. How's that? And I'll tell you the thing that I'll never forget about that movie, Alive. The plane crash scene in that movie, Alive, had me, that's probably where I started. What was Alive? Early 90s. That's probably, I hadn't flown a lot before then. I was kind of a kid. That's the scene, the plane crash scene in Alive, that forces me to have to drink whiskey and take some kind of a sedative before I get on a plane, because that scene, the crash scene in Alive, was freaky. Remember, we all know this story. This is the Brazilian soccer team that crashed in the Andes, right? No, it wasn't. Everybody's, yeah, the soccer team from Brazil that ate each other. No, that's not what this story. First of all, they were a rugby team, okay? And they didn't, it's not soccer. We Americans, just another sport that's not basketball, football, or baseball, or hockey. And they're all the same. If they're not the big four, they're all the same. It was a rugby team. And they were from, I don't know where they're from, but they weren't from Brazil, I don't think. And they ate each other. They had to eat each other. Oh, God. Pilot error, by the way. It was pilot error. The pilot did not know where he was. He thought he was somewhere else, and he made a turn based on the miscalculation of where he was, and he went right into a mountain. Let's see. On this day in 1983, Ameritech Mobile launches the first U.S. cellular network. They did it in Chicago. They did it in front of Soldier Field. Have you ever seen the video of the first cell phone call? They're out in front of Soldier Field. It's not a very weird thing. Anyway, that's when it all started, folks. On this day in 1983, I remember a time not too long after that. This is how far we've come. I remember my mom screaming at me to come to the front window. I was probably, I don't know, maybe I was 13, 14. What was I? So in 83. So I was probably not 83. This was maybe 85. So maybe I was 15 or 16. And my mom is screaming at me to come to the window. And I come running to the window. And she goes, "Look, that man in his car has pulled over and he's making a phone call." We just sat there and watched a guy in front of our condo out front talking on the phone. And we were, wow. How does that happen? Look how far we've come. Now we got phones, we got everything. Nobody can't escape phone calls. I got to turn the air on. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. I am starting to flop sweat, which isn't good. I'll be right back. I got the ads. All right. What's up, dog? You appreciate that? Oh, yeah, the dog is looking at me like, it's about time, dude. It's been hot in here for an hour. The dog is laying right here on the floor. Oh, excuse me. All right, let's do some birthdays. Some birthdays being celebrated on this day. Born on this day in 1925, American comedian and actor Lenny Bruce. Died in 1966. Lenny Bruce. I have a Lenny Bruce hot take. That some people are like, yeah, he's right. And other people are like, no, well, how dare you, blasphemous. And the hot take is Lenny Bruce was not funny. Lenny Bruce was not a good comedian. Lenny Bruce was not nearly as funny as the other people that were comedians around us. I mean, what is he a contemporary of? Actually, maybe he would be funny. Anyway, Lenny Bruce, I think, is incredibly overrated as a comedian. Have you ever watched Lenny Bruce routines on YouTube? Now, I know it's unfair to judge somebody back then, and especially their comedy style, based on what we've become accustomed to over the past 40, 50 years of comedy. I know, I get that. But I mean, there are people, I can see comedians from back then, like on the Milton Berle show or whatever, I see these clips and I'll laugh, not like I'll laugh at, say, like an Anthony Jeselnik or a Bill Burr, but I laugh. never have I laughed at anything that Lenny Bruce has ever said. He says interesting things. He has really fascinating points of view on all kinds of social issues, and that's what he did. But he's not funny. He's not, was having hot takes and proclaiming them publicly on stage in 1955, was that confused for humor? Because it's not really humor. Anyway, happy birthday to you, Lenny Bruce. Hey, you know what? I don't know what you did in your life, but people hold you up there and they put you on the Mount Rushmore of comedians, and I don't think so. I mean, we would have to, honestly, for me to agree to put Lenny Bruce on some mountain, we would have to have like 500 other comedians on there. We would have to have like a mountain that's just nothing but faces of comedians, because Lenny Bruce is not one of the 100 best comedians that I've ever seen. I don't even know if he's one of the 200. I mean, I have seen a lot of comedy over the years, and I just don't find him all that great. Also born on this day in 1925, we call them umbilical cousins. Umbilical cousin to Lenny Bruce, Margaret Thatcher, English chemist. Chemist? Really? And politician. Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. She died in 2013. The Iron Lady. I got no Margaret Thatcher hot takes. What am I going to die? Born on this day in 1941, Neil Aspinall, Welsh English record producer and manager. Neil Aspinall is a fascinating guy, man, because you know what he was? He was a friend from school of George Harrison and Paul McCartney. And he wasn't really like a band, like he didn't play an instrument or anything, but he was their buddy. So he just hung out with them. And he like hung out with the Beatles, like as the Beatles became the Beatles. Dude ends up owning Apple, right? He's like one of the owners and one of the big, he's a billionaire just because his parents bought a house next to George Harrison and Paul McCartney's house. And in school, he started hanging around with these guys. And now look at him. He's probably never worked a day in his life. Well, I mean, he's worked for the Beatles. He was a record producer. So, but you know what I mean? Like he's never had to do. Some people get lucky. Neil Aspinall, born on this day in 1941. He died in 2008. Born on this day also in 1941, another umbilical cousin of Neil Aspinall, Paul Simon, American singer, songwriter, guitarist, and producer. Began his career with a couple of hit singles with his partner. The band was called Tom and Jerry. That's who Art Garfunkel and Paul Simon were before they were Simon and Garfunkel. And then they stopped being brill-building pop music creators where, it was just like, lollipop, lollipop, boo, you know what I mean? Like, just like crazy little pop songs. And they got involved in the Greenwich Village coffee house scene, and they changed their name to Simon and Garfunkel and started writing other things. And man, they're awesome. They are awesome. Not necessarily my style of music, but just from a lyrical and a musical perspective, when you listen to, look, some of it's kind of, hello, darkness, my old friend. That was their thing. And it's not really my thing, but man, am I a fan. I am a fan. I guess maybe it is my thing. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm also a big fan of Paul Simon and his solo stuff. Great fan of his solo stuff. But, the Simon and Garfunkel stuff seemed a little bit heavy-handed, a little bit maudlin, but still beautiful. Whatever. They got some songs. I'm not saying happy birthday to you, Paul Simon. I'm a fan. I'm a conflicted fan. I'm a fan. I'm not conflicted on Paul Simon. I'm conflicted on Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel together as Simon and Garfunkel. That's what I'm conflicted on. But I acknowledge their greatness. I acknowledge you got to be able to do this. You got to be able to look at something and go, well, that doesn't appeal to me, but I can see why it appeals to other people. Got to be able to do that. Got to be honest. You got to be, if you're going to be an artistic critic, hot take guy, you got to be able to do that. Feel the same way about a lot of metal bands. Like, they're not my thing, but I can totally get it. I get why it's other people's things. Let's see here. Also born on this day in 1942. 1 year. He's 1 year younger than Paul Simon. Jerry Jones, ladies and gentlemen, the owner of your Dallas Cowboys. Controversial owner Jerry Jones. Also trending for another reason. Good morning, Mr. Jones, and happy birthday to you. Do you know that you're trending scandalously with Daniel Snyder today? Yeah, not a good day to start. Not a good day to wake up and go, it's my birthday, what's going on? Daniel Snyder's saying he's got all kinds of dirt on you that he's going to make public. Oh, okay, what else? It's your birthday. Let me tell you something about Jerry Jones. I am not a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. I root for the Cowboys because things are better in this city when the Cowboys are good. Although sports radio is better in this city when the Cowboys are bad. That's a fact. When the Cowboys are bad, talk radio, sports radio, especially in this town, is far more entertaining. It's just more over the top. I don't really have this like, oh, I love Jerry Jones or, oh, I hate Jerry Jones. I don't. My 13-year-old kid does. My 13-year-old kid is not a fan. Not a fan, but he's a diehard Cowboy fan. And I have a different kind of view on this because I am a diehard fan of another team, which is the team of my youth, which is the Chicago Bears. They're my team. I can tell you that for years and years, we Bear fans have been saying, can we just get an owner like Jerry Jones? Oh, I know you people in Dallas, you don't understand that. But here's the difference between your owner, Jerry Jones. Even though he has made some ridiculous moves and he's kind of a clown, a bit buffoonish, right? I mean, we know that. He's a billionaire, so he don't care. Jerry Jones seems to have his personal ego tied into the success of his team. And as a fan, that's what you want. You want your billionaire owner to see his team as a toy, not as something that makes money for him. And Jerry Jones, although, he's made a lot of money with the Cowboys, he wants to win. Now he makes a lot of big mistakes. And, people can, be, what do they call them? Monday morning quarterbacks or whatever about all of his decisions. That's fine. Maybe he has too much control. Maybe he ought to step back now. Who knows? Maybe the game is passed him by. I don't know. But at least he wants to win. I mean, my team is owned by a family who this is all they do. The Chicago Bears have to turn a profit. That is the Hallis McCaskey family who owns my team. They run the Chicago Bears like a for-profit business, which is not good. It's not good for the fan because that means that they won't sign players. They won't take risks. They won't go out in free agency. I mean, look, the Bears are going to be sold at some point, and they're going to be the most expensive team. I mean, did you see them? The Denver Broncos, did you see what they sold for? When the Chicago Bears, the charter franchise in the NFL, finally sell, and they will sell after Virginia. God love Virginia Hallis McCaskey, God love her, daughter of George Hallis. She's like 110. She will not sell the team while she's alive, and the kids don't want it. The kids are like, this team is going to be worth like $8 billion. Let's cash out as soon as grandma passes. And that's kind of what the family's doing. So we're hoping, that somebody like a Jerry Jones will buy this team as a toy and then tether his ego to the success and failure of the team. So say what you will about Jerry Jones. You got to give him that. He seems to absolutely want to win. Born on this day in 1947, Sammy Hagar, American singer, songwriter, guitarist, and producer. I had no idea he was that old. I mean, not that he's old, but like we were seeing Sammy Hagar in the late 80s, and he was like an apex rocker. He's like, man, he's got so much rock credibility. He's Sammy Hagar, man. He's in Van Halen now. It was awesome. I don't think we ever realized that he was our parents' age. I don't think we ever realized that we were, because we would look at our parents one way and then we'd be like, Sammy Hagar rocks. And then it's like, really? Okay. Well, happy birthday to you, Sammy Hagar. Born on this day in 1959. Oh, one of the legendary babes of American popular culture. And she still looks great. Marie Osmond, ladies and gentlemen. One of the very first conversations that my former partner, Kelly, and I had on our very first show was about Marie Osmond. And it was about Marie Osmond, who had recently, she had gone through some stuff and she had emerged from it and she was doing commercials on television. And everybody was talking about how amazing Marie Osmond looked. Marie Osmond, can you believe how old she is and how amazing she looks? Marie Osmond was like 40 then. She was like, well, let's see, let's do the math. She was born, so 60 80. Yeah, she was like 41 years old, basically 40 years old. And we were like, oh, she is holding together so good. She's still holding together good. Marie Osmond, 22, 23, 24 years later, is still holding together good. Happy birthday to you, Marie Osmond. Born on this day in 1961, Doc Rivers, basketball coach, basketball player. Doc Rivers. Born on this day in 1962, Jerry Rice, American football player. He's not the greatest football player of all time, but he is, in my opinion, if you were to say, you're building your dream team, you're picking your back, he would be my wide receiver one. Jerry Rice would be my top wide receiver. And then we could talk about guys like Calvin Johnson and Randy Moss and all that. But man, Jerry Rice came about and emerged as this little known draft pick out of where? Middle Tennessee State, something like that. And maybe it was because he had Joe Montana throwing to him, or maybe Joe Montana became Joe Montana because he was throwing to Jerry Rice. But man, that dude came out of nowhere to be like an amazing wide receiver. So there you go. The scouts kind of blew it on that one. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe they found him at Middle Tennessee State. See, this is where hot takes come to bite you in the ass, because I really don't know how that played out. Anyway, Jerry Rice, born on this day in 1962. Born on this day in 1969. Why? That, the immortal words of Nancy Kerrigan. Nancy Kerrigan, born on this day in 1969. American figure skater and actress, commentator. That was a weird story. I mean, we're not going to go into the whole Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan thing, but man, that was a weird story. It was just so poorly planned. Just dumb people doing dumb things. That's what that whole thing. Not Nancy. Nancy wasn't dumb. Nancy was an innocent victim in all this. But, the Shane Stant and the Jeff Gillooly and, all of these characters that we came to know. Well. All right, happy birthday to you, Nancy Kerrigan. Born on this day in 1971. There was a time when I thought that he might be the next great comic star in history. Like I saw him do some things and I went, oh man, Peter Sellers has a little bit of competition, because I always believed that Peter Sellers was the best comic actor of all time. Sacha Baron Cohen. Sacha Baron Cohen is celebrating a birthday today, born on this day in 1971. Sacha Baron Cohen was like a genius out of the box. He hasn't really done much. He does things, he appears in things, and he's funny and everything, but man, he's not what anyone would call prolific as far as what he's, been churning out. He's gone back to the Borat well a few times. I think The Dictator, his movie that he did where he plays a Gaddafi-like dictator coming to New York City for a UN meeting, I think that's one of the most underrated comedies of all time. I love The Dictator. I think The Dictator is hysterical. If you've never seen it, see it. And if you saw it and just like, this is dumb, check it out again. I think it's very funny. So happy birthday to you, Sacha Baron Cohen. Umbilical cousins to Sacha Baron Cohen, born on this day also in 1971. Billy Bush, American television journalist and radio host. Billy Bush is the guy that got swept up in the whole, you just grab him in the pussy comment. Remember, he was he was the guy interviewing Donald Trump on the All Access TV van, bus, whatever. And, Trump said those things and it became a whole deal. Trump became president. Billy Bush became public enemy number one just for sitting there and listening to him say these things. Has Billy Bush rebounded? I don't know. He was pretty famous for a period of time back then. I don't know that I've seen him around much lately. I'm sure he's doing fine. Born on this day in 1978, Jermaine O'Neal, basketball player. Was he the main antagonist? Not antagonist. It would be, I don't know what it would be. The Malice at the Palace, the big fight, right? Meta World Peace, Ron Artest runs into the crowd, followed by Steven Jackson and Jermaine O'Neal. All hell breaks loose. I had a bit of a 180 on Jermaine O'Neal. I used to hate him. Now, I used to hate him because he played for the Pistons. And I'm a Bulls fan, and the Bulls hate the Pistons. So not the Pistons, the Pacers. Sorry, he played for the Pacers. And again, we hate it. Bulls hate the Pistons too, but we also hate the Pacers. So I disliked him. I thought he was a thug. I thought he was one thing. And then over the years, I've been able to sort of learn a little bit about Jermaine O'Neal, and I love him. And I love him. I love Jermaine O'Neal. Jermaine O'Neal seems like a really normal, decent, serious man. He's a serious man. He's not like kind of joking. He's not a laugh a minute type guy. But he really impressed me in the couple of I've seen a couple of documentaries recently about the Malice in the Palace, and I was very impressed with the way Jermaine O'Neal comports himself. Seems like a very serious, very dignified guy. And I would have never thought that. Also celebrating a birthday today, Jermaine O'Neal. Ooh, how about this one? Here's someone I don't get. Well, actually, I mean, I guess I get her, but born on this day in 1989. Oh my God, 20 years older than her. Alexandria Ocasia Cortez. Oh, let those slings and arrows come. Here's what I don't get about her. I don't get why some people have made her so famous. She is a completely insignificant congresswoman who, because the opposition has decided to demonize her, they have made her more influential and more powerful than she should. She is is she a junior? Is she? I don't even know if she's not a ranking member of Congress. She doesn't head any committees. She's just kind of there. And if you think that, oh, Pugs, you're wrong. She's super important. Really? Because the dude who she replaced for that congressional seat had the seat for like 30 years. Name them. Name them. Name how important that congressional district. You can't do it. People made her something that she's not. She has no power. She has a whole lot of influence now, though, because they've heaped it on her. Because for some reason, they pulled her out of the pack and said, let's demonize her. And I don't know if that's, first of all, it's not justified because it's political. It's all complete lunacy. I think that I don't know what I would vote for. I have issues with it, but I don't talk politics here. But the idea that she has been elevated to this position of importance is absolutely absurd. There are hundreds of members of Congress, and we can only name 10. And it's only the people that are strafed from the crowd and targeted as being somehow. Now, there are people who chair committees. There are people who have actual power. There are people with whip status and all of that kind of thing within the Congress. She ain't one of them. She ain't one of them. She's a nobody. She's a nobody with no stripes, no accomplishments, and she's just what is she? 4 years in now? 5 years in? Whatever. She's relatively new. Again, name the guy she replaced. If this is such an important congressional vote, if her seat is so influential and so important, name the guy or the person who sat there for you can't. In 30 years, I don't know, it was 30 years, but he was there a long time. And I have read his name a million times, and I've never heard of him. I can't even tell you. It's such a forgettable seat that okay, anyway. There was a difference in types of power that congressional seats have. Congressional seats that are aligned in major metropolitan areas like New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Dallas, they are far less powerful than congressional seats that represent large swaths of rural America. Oh, hold on. Sorry. Got to plug in my... Sorry, my computer's not charging because it doesn't charge, because it doesn't want to, because the cord doesn't want to. It'll plug in and it'll use power direct from the wall, but it won't charge the battery. It doesn't want to. I hate power cords. I have such a... okay, there you go. Yeah, just rattle it around and maybe it'll start. So there you go. So happy birthday to the amplified Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And, it wasn't even, the people around her that amplified her. Again, she has been targeted and she has been promoted into a boogie woman, an absolute, a very nationally influential figure now. And, I don't know if that was unintended on the part of the people who decided, or maybe it was just thoughtless. They didn't think it through, that if they just decide. But man, she's a nobody. She's an absolute nobody who is now a somebody. Oh, she's now a somebody. And her opponents are the ones who made her a somebody. It's like you gave her all this power. I don't get it. But day to day, she has very little influence in the United States Congress. She just doesn't. And by the way, never mind. I don't want to go into it. I hate talking politics. I'm sorry. Born on this day in 1993, former first daughter, Tiffany Trump. Happy birthday, Tiffany Trump. I had that a little difficulty there. I don't know what that's about. Am I having a stroke? I am hot and I am rambling. Yeah, but that's what you do. You ramble every day. That's true. I do ramble every day. Thank you to my partner, Schizophrenic Me. He co-hosts with me every day. All right, let's do some deaths, because some important people died on this day as well. Dead on this day in 1945, Milton Hershey, American businessman, founded the Hershey Company. Dead on this day, 1974, Ed Sullivan, American newspaper writer and talk show host. Ed Sullivan is another one of these guys that benefited greatly from the fact that nobody knew what TV was supposed to be and who could be on TV and what looked good on camera. He was just a popular newspaper guy, and then suddenly there was this new TV thing, and they said, we should have that guy that everybody reads do TV. And he was terrible. He was terrible. He had no charisma. He was sweaty. He was not particularly attractive or articulate. You know, he was a mumbler, and yet he became one of the icons of American TV. Why? Right place, right time. Dead on this day in 2012. Gary Collins. Do you know who Gary Collins is? If you come from the 80s like I do, Gary Collins was everywhere. I think he was the host of The Home Show. He was like this super vanilla, sweater-wearing, handsome man that like Housewives, back when Housewives wasn't a pejorative term, back when Housewives, you know, were the target audience of daytime TV. He didn't seem rapey at all. He seemed just like handsome and like Boy Next Door handsome. And so there you go, Gary Collins. He's an actor turned like daytime TV guy. All right, are we ready? Let's go into some of these trending topics. Here are all the things that are trending today. Let me get some water. Sorry, I'm just reading some of Adam Rayna's hot takes on sports. Don't disagree with him. Do not disagree with him. Let's see here. All right, the big news is the January 6th committee hearings. Plenty of places you can go to get coverage of that. Not here. The Dow Jones is also trending. The Dow Jones is trending. Why is it trending? Because it's like going crazy today. Where is it currently? What's happening with the Dow Jones right now? It opened up 600 points down. It just cratered when it opened. And that is due to some economic reports that came out today. We don't do really economic reports either. They were either good or bad, depending on your political affiliation. So that's why we don't do it. But let's look at the Dow. Let's see what the Dow Jones is right now. Because it started out 600 down, then went as high as 500 up. Oh my God. And now it's plus 800. It is kicking ass. So if you turned on the news early this morning, they were all pearl clutching about, oh, it's going to be another dismal day. Started out 600 down, and now it's up 800 points. So there you go. That's why the Dow Jones, who knows what that's all about. All right, here we go. Here's a fun one. Alex Jones. We had to get into this. I hate Alex Jones. Alex Jones is a monster. I don't know what to think of Alex Jones. Jury in Connecticut yesterday, in the second of 3 defamation trials being levied, I don't know, that Alex Jones has to deal with. He lost the first one, I believe, here in Texas. I believe it was $45 million is what was awarded to the plaintiffs in the defamation case. And then yesterday, Connecticut jury, they awarded $1 billion, $1 billion to the families of Sandy Hook victims who were unfairly, and that's what it is. All right. So I'm going to draw a line in the sand here. Okay. Alex Jones is a bad guy. He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. He at some point made a determination after for years trying to get a job at 105.3. We used to sit in the 105.3 not producer, but in the programming office, and they would go, "Hey, I got another one from that guy." And we're like, "Oh, that guy." This is before we knew who he was. It's like, "Oh, that guy, he's insane." He's like, "Yeah, he's never going to get here. But man, does he say," he was, "Oh, I want to be on 105.3. Oh, he's a Dallas. He's from here. That's what he wanted to do." So nobody would hire him. So he ended up, streaming his show, and he made a calculation early on that there are a lot of crazy people in this country, that there are a lot of really fucking stupid people in this country, and there's a lot of fucking dangerous, crazy people in this country. And he made a metric that said if he just got all the crazy people who should be on medication but aren't, he could not only stir them up and whip them up because they're already crazy, they're already halfway there. He could then sell them bullshit like Armageddon, the survival packs and all that. I mean, he's a bad guy. And he knows, and he admitted in the Texas court just a couple of months ago that the Sandy Hook massacre was real, that it wasn't. He admitted this in court. It's on the record. Now, he was being sued for millions of dollars, but you can't believe that Alex Jones actually believes this stuff unless you think he is also crazy. And at this point, I don't know where to go with this. I don't know what to do. I just know he's dangerous. I know that $1 billion is an absurd amount of money. But it's also an amount of money that is trying to set a precedent that there has to be some responsibility with media. And we live in a time when media is running unchecked. It is media for whatever you want to hear, whatever it is, your personal biases, your ignorant beliefs, whatever they are. There is something that is going to masquerade as legitimate media, as traditional media, as heritage media, that will tell you that all of these crazy things that you think are true. And that's dangerous. It's dangerous because we all celebrated the idea of streaming and the idea of being able to podcast, and the average person could just now be as influential as a talk show host in their garage. We celebrated that. That was a great thing. But what we didn't consider was that crazy people can do it too. Crazy people can now get all the other crazy people. They can give the other crazy people a place to go. And once you get all the crazy people in one place, you get 2022 America. So it's a lot of money. They're never going to get it. The other thing that sort of irritated me about the Alex Jones decision was the crazy people who are supporting him. And look, I have a lot of friends on the right. Be careful. Be careful, man. Be careful who you get in bed with. Don't just keep your mouth shut on this. Keep your mouth shut on this one. Don't be like, "This is a liberal Jerry." Don't be like that. You know you're better than that. You know what he did was reprehensible. You know that it's a real piece of shit thing. And don't come at me with the "he didn't kill anybody." Oh, really, genius? Because I thought this was a mass murder criminal trial. That's what I thought. Oh, really? It's not that. It's actually just a civil trial. Stop it. We know he didn't kill anybody. That's not what this trial was about. Stop trying to do the whole "what about" thing. Stop it. It's beneath you. People on the left like him too. There are crazy people on the left who are like, "Oh, far right." They love him. They love everybody. Crazy people. That's the common denominator. Crazy people love this guy. Don't get in bed with him. Just acknowledge that it is morally repugnant what he attempted to do, which was sell bullshit vitamin pills to people while telling them that the Sandy Hook parents were actors, and encouraging his listeners to confront the Sandy Hook parents and their children in public. Yeah, that's what he did. Yeah. No, yeah, he did. Yes, he did. There is tape out there of him saying things. They played it in court. He's a reprehensible, repugnant piece of moral garbage. That's what Alex Jones is. So don't defend him. Don't defend him. Just move away from this story. But it has repercussions for other media. Yeah, it does. That's the entire point. That is the entire point. Yeah, it's going to have real repercussions because now people who start spouting out bullshit and intentionally try to harm emotionally, psychically, whatever, harm other people, there is going to be some sort of accountability for that. And again, that's just a number. It's just a number. They're not going to get that. You don't have that. But this needs to be fair warning for other people. And, you're not a First Amendment guy. This isn't about the First Amendment. This is not about the First Amendment. You can bastardize the interpretation of what the First Amendment is to somehow make it fit pretty much any narrative. You can say anything, but stop it. Stop. This is not a First Amendment issue. This is an asshole issue. This is making sure that bad people who are influencing other people are somehow checked from being as out there. Well, you should be able to say anything you want and not worried about how people react to it. No, you shouldn't. You can't scream fire in a crowded theater. Can't do that. Where's all my First Amendment bitches, fighting over that? There are rules. There are rules that govern a civilized society. And once again, I always go back to that. Are we a civilized society or are we not? Do you just want to be every man for himself? Do you just want to be, survival of the fittest? Go back to the prehistoric days? There are consequences. And there are got to be accountability. It's got to be accountability. This guy made hundreds of millions of dollars, and hopefully he will be destitute the rest of his life. Although I got to imagine that, he's got money somewhere and he'll be fine. He's going to, we'll see Alex Jones in 10 years. He'll be driving a Mercedes and living in a 10,000 square foot house going, I'm broke. Who lose everything? The kind of people who lose everything in these things? Moderately rich people. If you've got like $1 million and you run afoul of something like this, yeah, you'll be living in a flop house for the next 40 years of your life. But when you got $200 million, trust me, he's going to be fine. Speaking of someone else who apparently is going to be fine, although what does that mean? The Parkland jurors came back today. Nicholas Cruz, the Parkland little son of a bitch, murderer demon boy, he was on trial. This was sentencing. We know he was already on trial. The argument was that he should not face the death penalty because, his mom was a crackhead and alcoholic and he had a terrible, all that stuff, which has to be considered. You have to consider, you can't just kill him. I mean, that's eye for an eye stuff. And if you're an Old Testament dude, then maybe eye for an eye is fine. But again, I go back to civilized society. We have to consider things. We have to look deeper. We can't just go, well, here's my instinctive response to this because you know what? I'm so tired of thinking about these things. I have tired head. And then you go back and you put your fantasy football roster together for 12 hours. You just focus on that. So don't give me the tired head thing. This is just something that we choose to not be considerate of, to not be thoughtful about. Kid was fucked up. The kid was fucked up. And whether you think that he deserves the death penalty or life in prison, that's a you thing, right? We know he's a monster. But do we believe that monsters are just created naturally? They're just born monsters, or is it, it's nature or nurture? I don't know. But here's what I do know, and I've made this clear. I don't believe in the death penalty. I don't believe that man should kill man. I believe that if you think that, especially if you're a person of faith or a person of any, then you must believe that life is a God-given gift, right? That God is the one who decides. So, I mean, how you then justify going, hey, God, you made a mistake with this one. Okay, so that's what the religious people. But for people like me who aren't necessarily religious, I do consider myself to have some faith, although I'm not entirely certain what that is. But there are some aspects of it to me. For me, it's just a matter of, I don't think that man should be deciding to kill other man. Go back to Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes. What's the number one rule in the Planet of the Apes? Ape don't kill ape. Now, how are they so much more morally advanced than we are? So, look, I can understand people wanting to see this kid's head on a pike. I understand. It's anger. But there is a difference between vengeance and justice. Do you believe in justice? Because in a civilized society, we believe in justice, and justice is messy and it's not always fulfilling. Sometimes justice leaves you a little bit wanting more. Vengeance says, you just drag them out in the street and you let the parents beat them with baseball bats. That's what vengeance says, but that's not something that we do here. So look, I just don't believe in capital punishment, and that's why I was kind of pleased with what I said. Not pleased. The jury came back and said that Nicholas Cruz is not going to get the death penalty. He will get life in prison. Although it was very complicated. I was watching it being read, and there were a whole bunch of, should he get the death penalty? Yes. They read down the thing. So I'm like, okay, death penalty. But then it's being reported that he won't get the death penalty, that they voted. Apparently, the narrative that's out there is that he's not getting the death penalty. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but I was very confused by the way they read it. And then when the news people took over after it, well, that's shocking. He's not getting the death penalty. I was like, what? Really? Okay, because it sounded to me like the jurors on some of these counts recommended the death penalty. But then it was explained to me by one of the attorneys on there that in the state of Florida, it has to be unanimous on all counts for a death penalty for someone to be put to death. Just lock him away. Human veal. He's never going to have a life. We're just going to have to study him and watch him for the rest of his life. Whatever. That's fine by me. That's police. Oh, this is an ugly one. This is really ugly. So there was an incident. Where was this? New Hampshire? Is this New Hampshire? It's somewhere up in the northeast. I want to make sure I get this right. A couple of Connecticut cops got killed last night. 2 Connecticut officers killed in AR-15 ambush after apparent phony 911 call. So we've been talking about the phony 911 calls that seem to be a new thing with schools in particular, where schools across the country every single day, they're getting swatted. Somebody's here with a gun in the cafeteria. And then the SWAT team shows up. In this particular case last night, it was early Wednesday morning. So yesterday morning. Anyway, police received a call of a domestic incident occurring at a house, and when they showed up, they were greeted by a man with a rifle. What is it? An AR-15? Whatever. 2 cops killed, another cop in serious condition. Just a very, very ugly thing. 2 police officers were shot and killed, and a third was injured after a gunman allegedly ambushed them at a Bristol, Connecticut home. The Bristol police officers were shot while responding to a 911 call reporting a possible domestic violence incident between 2 siblings Wednesday night. According to the police sources, the gunman then carried out an apparent ambush on the officers with an AR-15 style rifle. So the way it's not being described in the story, but in the comments, there are people talking about things that are not necessarily being reported. And it seems like the police officers walked up to the porch, knocked on the door, and then behind them under the steps, someone emerged with a gun and, so there you go. Terrible. The suspect, Nicholas Bruce, was shot and died at the scene. All right. By the way, that's the other thing. That's, I want to get on the whole, I don't believe that we should kill people. I don't think that the government, I don't think that any sort of a body of influence should have the right to condemn a human being to death. I don't believe that. However, I do believe in self-defense. I believe that, you have a right to survival. You have a right to defend yourself, and you have a right to take somebody else out if they are trying to take you out. So I want to make that clear. It's not like, so someone comes at you with a gun and you don't do anything. No, someone comes at me with a gun, I'm going to try and kill them. I'm going to try and kill them before they kill me, because I'm not an idiot. I mean, I do believe in, you got to protect what I'm going to be. Kill me. I'm going to be a victim. No, thank you. So this suspect here, Nicholas Bruce, was shot and killed at the scene. Thankfully, the suspect's, Thankfully, that was me. That was just a little bit of commentary. The suspect's brother was also shot and has been hospitalized in unknown condition. Our community's been rocked, Bristol Police Chief Brian Gould said at a news conference. Killed in the gunfire were Bristol Police Sergeant Dustin DeMonte, 35 years old, and Officer Alex Hamzy, 34. DeMonte is survived by his wife and 2 children, with a 3rd child on the way. That's always a common thing, right? With pregnant wife at home. DeMonte was assigned to our patrol division and was a school resource officer, the chief said. He was also an advisor for the Bristol Police Explorer Cadet Program. Throughout his career, he has received several awards, including the Silver Star, Officer of the Month, and co-recipient for Officer of the Year in 2019. Hamzy, a Bristol native, is survived by his wife. Throughout his career, he received numerous letters of commendation and recognition. He was assigned to our Central Region Emergency Response Team and was also one of our cadet advisors. The injured officer is 26-year-old Alex Iarudo, and he underwent surgery for a severe gunshot wound. Iarudo was released from the Hartford Hospital on Thursday morning and was greeted by a sea of officers' support and applause. Okay, so there you go. That's a dark, nasty story out of Connecticut. Here's another one. Okay. All right. This is another sad one right here. Dallas police are mourning one of their own today. An officer was killed. Young officer, 26 years old, was killed while reporting for duty. He was driving in for a shift, killed by a drunk driver. Dallas police officer killed going to work by alleged intoxicated driver going the wrong way on a highway. A 25-year-old police officer in Dallas was killed traveling to work for the start of his shift when he was hit by a driver going the wrong way on the highway. The incident occurred close to midnight Tuesday at approximately 11:48 p.m. when Jacob Arellano, let me get his name right, here's the officer, Jacob Arellano of the Dallas Police Department was driving to work going northbound on Spur 408 near Keast Boulevard in Dallas, when the SUV he was driving was struck by a vehicle driving southbound in the same lane. That freaks me out, man. That the idea that people, you hear about this all the time, especially on like ramps and stuff, people getting on ramps the wrong way. Fuck. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. That's just horrible. And again, my laughter, that's nervous laughter. That's just an uncomfortable reaction to this whole story. Kroger is trending, but so is Albertsons. Albertsons and Kroger. Are you Kroger or you're Albertsons? Don't even tell me you're a Tom Thumb. What are you? Well, where do you shop? I'm a Kroger person. Kroger is trending because Kroger's going to buy up Albertsons. I'm going to just gobble up Albertsons. Still, nobody has still answered my question as to why I can't find any Kroger brand Coke Zero. Why can't I find generic Kroger Coke Zero? Why is it nowhere to be found? Generic Kroger brand ginger ale and generic Kroger brand zero sugar orange. You can get that. That stuff's there. Apparently nobody wants that trash. But, Coke, Cherry Coke, Dr. Pepper, Sprite, all of their generic versions in the zero-calorie category are gone. They're missing. So good, Kroger. You suck up Albertsons stores and you become the nation's largest and most dominant supermarket chain. But can you put one person on stocking the Coke Zero knockoffs on your shelves, please? Because it's becoming a problem. I'm drinking water. I'm drinking water for 2 days now because I refuse to pay $3 for a 2-liter bottle of diet soda. I just refuse. That's my line in the sand has been drawn. Let's see here. Inflation and the economy and all that stuff is trending, but this ain't where you come for that. Whatever. I don't know how to do. Again, the economy has been so politicized. This is good. This is bad. I don't know. I'm not an economist. I don't know. I rely on smart people to tell me. And, smart people are telling me 2 different things. the stock market is going nuts. That's, I know that. And whatever. The headline is inflation slows to 8.2%. But then there's another headline that says inflation is at a 40-year high. So who knows? I don't know. Again, they're not the things you come here for. We stream stuff like this. Troy Aikman has apologized. Oh, my goodness. Are you following the Troy Aikman story? So Troy Aikman on Monday Night Football, he said he said that he hopes that the NFL's competition committee takes a look at this. He was talking about, the quarterback rules and, all that kind of stuff. And he takes the dresses off. Wait, let me make sure I get it right, because I don't want to misquote him, because context, especially in something like this, is very important. He was on Monday Night Football. He and Joe Buck. He's calling the game, and he just, Troy's great at doing that, and he just said something using a term or. All right, here. Where is the comment? Troy Aikman feels regretful. I'll just read it to you. We'll get to the actual comment here. Troy Aikman feels regretful over a controversial comment he made during the Chiefs-Raiders game on Monday Night Football, in which he said he hopes, here's the quote, although this is from the New York Post, so, quotes, right? Troy Aikman feels regretful over a controversial comment he made during the Chiefs-Raiders game on Monday night, in which he said he hopes the NFL, quote, takes the dresses off after another contentious roughing the passer call. During a radio appearance on 96.7 The Ticket on Thursday, Aikman called his remarks dumb when one of the hosts noted that there was some reaction to his strong comments. Troy said, and here's the quote from The Ticket, "My comments were dumb, just shouldn't have made them," Aikman said. "Just dumb remarks." Okay. Let's see. Is there anybody back? All right. Yeah, so here's what happened. So the charger doesn't work, and the phone just completely died. Uh, and it's not It says it's charging, but it's not charging. It says it's charging. It's not charging. I now have like 8% battery, so it's just gonna shut off. Or is it? Is it charging now? I don't know. Such a pain in the ass. Yeah, now we're at 8%. So yeah, no, I don't know what to do here. The show is that the computer that runs the show is not going to charge anymore. It is it's a cord issue because if I play with the cord, it works. Ah, man, I'm telling you, this really pisses me off. It says it's so. I mean, do I have this wrong? When you plug like sometimes when you plug a computer in, sometimes like all the time with every computer that I own, when you plug the computer in, sometimes it just doesn't charge. I mean, it's like you're plugged in, but no charge. It doesn't tell you that it's charging. And then other times it says plugged in and charging, and it tells you how long. This computer is currently telling me that it's plugged in, and it is the little light is lit up that tells me that it's charging, and yet I have just gone in the last minute from 10% power. Now I'm down to 7% power. I don't get it. Hi, Cheryl. Cheryl's checking in. Here's what I think we're going to do here. I think we're going to end this show. I'm going to try and figure out what the fuck is going on. We're going to end the show, and maybe I'll come back a little bit later and try and finish up what we're doing here. How is this not charging? Power options. All right. Well, you know what? Here's what we'll do. Here's what we'll do. I'll run through everything else. We were talking about Troy Aikman. Let's try and get through this. We'll see if actually, does it look like it's charging? Did the battery just go up a little bit? It did not. It just went down. In fact, it now went down to 6. So I've got 6% power. Power mode plugged in. Plugged in. How about plugged in and charging? How about that? I'm so angry right now. Troy Aikman says he said a dumb thing. I don't think he said a dumb thing. I think he said a normal thing, and I think that the chuckle chorus out there decided that he needs to be canceled or whatever. I don't even like using that word, canceled. And now he's doing what he has to do. He has to go out and go, I'm sorry, it was dumb. I shouldn't have said that, Because what's the offense here? That women wear dresses? I thought we were in 2022. I thought dresses could be worn by anybody. So when he says take the dresses off, why is he so obviously criticizing women? Why is he being a dick towards women by saying that? Because can't men wear dresses too? And quite frankly, anybody wearing a dress in a football uniform would be constrained from being able to perform at their best. So makes sense to me. If you're wearing a dress, and by the way, men or women can wear dresses. If you're wearing a dress, you wouldn't be able to play football very well. So taking the dress off might actually make you. It's about a choice of clothing, not necessarily. Now look, I know what he meant. I know, of course, we know what he meant. But if we're going to be stupid about this and we're going to hold people accountable for saying ridiculously innocuous things like that, then let's push it. Let's push it the other way. Wait a second. Why are you being? Oh my God! Why do you hate trans people? Why can't men wear dresses? Why are you saying that wearing a dress is always a woman thing? How dare you? That should be the response, but it won't be, because Monday Night Football makes a whole bunch of money from advertisers, and more specifically, corporate America is the reason for cancel culture, because they're gutless cowards who get 1,000 emails from one specific group who organized to send these 1,000 emails en masse, and the company gets them and goes, oh my God, everybody hates us. Stop it. The one thing, a lot I can say a lot. I don't talk a lot about the former president. But the one thing that he taught us was that if you just say what you want and let the chuckle chorus go, you suck, you're terrible, and just keep your head down and keep going, everybody will forget about it. Everybody will forget about it. So, do I understand why Troy Aikman has apologized? Yes, I do. I understand because he's got corporate overlords who probably demanded it. But if our corporations, if our advertisers, because that's what it's always about, you get canceled because the advertisers are going to get angry at you. That's every single instance where somebody has been unceremoniously dropped from their show or from their position or their platform or whatever it was, it has been because of advertisers being fearful that the 1,000 emails they got represent 100,000 emails. It's cowardly, it's gutless, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Troy Aikman maybe he is a misogynist. He's a man of a certain age. So what? Are we supposed to put all of these men in prison? Are we supposed to make sure that none of these men are able to earn a living? And look, Troy Aikman, nobody's going to cry for him. The dude's friggin' super loaded. But come on, man. Can we just stop? This is all getting so freaking tiring. Put a dress on. It's not even a mean thing to say. It's a bit of an outdated thing to say, but all right. So there you go. That's my Troy Aikman rant. What else do we have? You know what? I think that's going to be it. I think that we should just end the show. We got in a nice show. I have to figure out what's going on with this computer and why it's not charging. Is it not plugged in? It's plugged in. It is plugged in. Hold on. What is that? I just did something. Yeah. Anyway. All right, folks. Let's see. So what are you saying, Ross? Now there's a problem with this. We're done. We're done with today's show. All right, bye everybody. I can't. I'm sorry. Again, no pillow talks tonight, and tomorrow we may or may not have a show. We'll see tomorrow, as I explained early on in today's show. Tomorrow is really going to depend on where my head is at when I wake up in the morning. So please bear with me. If not, we'll see you back here on Monday. Monday will be the next high noon show. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. We could be surprised. Now I'm down to 4%. I'm down to 4% power. Okay, so without further ado, I love you guys. We got to get out of here and I'll figure this out. I will figure out what's going on here, and it's not going to be an ongoing problem, but I'm just so angry. I'm just so angry because it's plugged in, and it's plugged in, but it's still losing power. That's why we crashed. We crashed because even though it's plugged in and charging, like it's not like, is it just that you think it's plugged in, but it's not? Oh, shut up. I know when something's plugged in. It gives you the little icon of the plug, means it's plugged in. There's a light here that says it's plugged in. Okay, it's plugged in. What it's not doing is charging, and what it's not doing is using the power that it's getting directly from the cord either, because it's just going down, down, down. And I wish I could say that this was just happening here, but my cell phone doesn't charge because that cord is jacked up too, and that cord's only 2 weeks old, and that one doesn't. And this other computer that I use, this one doesn't charge. This one's on 0% battery, but at least it's plugged into the wall and it's charging that way. All right. I love you guys. Have yourself a great day, and we'll get back at you. It's a weird show. You got an hour and 17. I got an hour and 15. I think I came on at 12:02. Okay. I'm not even gonna play the tape. We're just gonna end the show. Okay. Bye, you guys.